All right, welcome to another episode of Dark 30. Next guest is my bro, my dinner date,
That's
my
right.
sweetums, my little sweetums. Lake Hereford, how you doing, buddy?
I'm good, man. How are you?
I'm good, dude. So, let's just jump right in. Uh, what what made Blake want to be a cop? What brought you to where we are now?
Oh, well, a lot of things. Really, like, I was one of those kids, kind of, growing up in the '90s before games were kind of becoming a thing. I never really got into it. Like, my family owned land. I was always outside playing, and most of the time, like, playing with our cousins, we were out playing army, playing, military things, and I always wanted to be military. And it was kind of last minute when I chose the college I was going to go to that I chose not to go the military route. Um, call it a spurt of laziness or, I got scared or whatever the case may be. I was really kind of lazy back then. So I guess it could be laziness. Like I chose the easy route. I went to college and I was like, yeah, I'm going to be an art major because I'm good at doing this. That only lasted a year.
Right.
And then, you figure out you got to take classes to major like art history and all this other shit that I wasn't interested in, nor was I good at. So I was like, yeah, this path isn't for me. So I had to figure out something. And, I had a
I
bunch
mean, the
of,
obvious reason for somebody who's not good at art is to be an art major.
well, look, I was good at art. I was good at like the hand drawing things. Now I haven't done that in years. I probably am not anymore, but I was like, you know what? I'm good at it. So might as well pick something easy. Like, why not have an easy major and a path through life? Well, that couldn't have been more wrong whatsoever. But the military thing always kind of interests me. So I kind of went when I was thinking, kind of pondering what am I going to do in life? Pretty much at a young age, like 19 and 20, I was like, well, the military thing's kind of passed. Like I passed that opportunity up. So what's next? And I was like, law enforcement. Like, I don't want to sit behind a desk my whole life. That's just not. It doesn't fit my personality. I like being out and about. I like doing things. I like every day being something different. So I decided kind of early on, like, all right, I'm going to go down this law enforcement path. And I had a lot of cousins that were kind of influential or family members that are lawyers or, my mom's a paralegal. So I grew up kind of around legal s things. I'm definitely not smart enough to be a lawyer. I couldn't go to law school. So that wasn't even in my brain. So I was like, what's the second best? Well, I want a low paying job, high scrutiny the rest of my life. Fucking sign me up.
Right, right.
So
And
here we are.
how long you done this now?
This month is actually, well, what's today's date? Actually, yesterday was 8 years.
Nice, dude. Nice. And you've been at a couple of different departments, um, as opposed to where you are right now. So you've got some street time. Tell me about a good crazy traffic stop you've had.
Traffic stops vary. They say they teach you early on in the academy, and you know that like traffic stops are one of, if not the most dangerous thing that cops can do. Because even us in Johnson County, who honestly has it pretty good overall. I mean, crime still happens, but you're not in the like Casey Mo's or the LA's or New York area.
Right.
Um, so you have your fair share of Johnson County moms, that you pull over your minivan with five kids coming home from soccer practice. But every single traffic stop is different. So and you just get a whole plethora of people. You have people, you make a traffic stop and you instantly have a phone in your face recording you because they've watched too many YouTube videos and they think that's going to get them out of a ticket. Or you have your sovereign citizens of the world who, they go down the whole spiel of, hey, I'm, Deputy so and so, Johnson County Sheriff's Office. So the reason I pulled you over is like, well, I'm not driving, I'm traveling. You're like, oh, okay, this is going to be one of those stops. So I mean, there's a fair number of them. I'll tell you one thing that actually changed the way I approach traffic stops, and the scary thing is, after years that I've done it, complacency kills, and that's a real thing. Um, when I was on leave for family things, and a few years back, you remember the North Casey officer that was shot and killed on a traffic stop? Well, I worked for Mission at the time, so really the eye opener was the guy he stopped had a misdemeanor warrant out of Mission. Now, he was stopped in Missouri. That's non-extraditable for anyone who doesn't know. Like, not only can you not do anything about it, he wasn't going to do anything about it. And it was like some traffic ticket that he failed to appear on, didn't appear on court. Something stupid. Well, that was the reason why that guy decided to shoot the officer that day. Just your everyday traffic stop. Lo and behold, guy had a gun that I'm pretty sure he had made himself, and decided that he wasn't going to go to jail. So he started shooting, and unfortunately, that officer lost his life. So I specifically, like, many traffic stops come to mind, but I specifically remember after that happened, the first few that I did when I came back to work was like every hair was standing up. You didn't want to, I didn't pull my gun, but like that thought was there.
Right.
Windows are tinted, you can't see in. You're like, oh, is this going to be it?
Right. It just
So
puts a
you
little thought in
just,
the back of your head that just never goes away
it does.
because
And
you're thinking about that other officer, you're thinking about other situations, and you're thinking about what situation you're in at the time. Yeah, those little seeds are planted already. And the way
you,
the public deals with law enforcement nowadays is, they have to record everything, they have to be around, they have to try to tattle on you or whatever it is, and
yeah.
that's an
And
unfortunate way of life we have right now.
complacency is definitely something that kills, and it's something that we all preach time and time again, to the new guys coming into this profession, like, hey, don't get complacent, don't get complacent. Well, it's easy to preach, but me who's done this for 8 years, how many times have I gotten complacent in my job? Countless. Like, it happens. Which is the scary thing, and it's unfortunate that someone had to lose their lives for me to realize, like, oh shit, I'm getting complacent in what I'm doing.
Well, get into one of those traffic stops that, like a sovereign citizen traffic stop or something. Tell me what one of those that you've had.
Sovereign citizen, they can either be really bad, or, like, this is going to be a good time, because sometimes it's just, look, you got to find joy in this job. And a lot of people that listen to this are going to probably get pissed off, like, oh, this is what cops are doing. Well, sometimes it's just fun to fuck with people. And when I immediately walk up to the car and you're like, well, I'm not driving, I'm traveling, it's like, all right, I'm going to have some fun. But the one I mean, old beater van. It was like, the thing you see out of Scooby Doo. Like, not as colorful, but a van just like that, beat up, rust, and it had it on the license plate, or where the license plate is supposed to be. It had a cardboard box that said "in transit," and I'm like, oh, instantly,
That's a clue.
yeah, there's your reason for the stop right there, because he has no plate. But it was great. A fun fact about sovereign citizens is a lot of them actually, well, one, their arguments hold no grounds. But that's what they want you to do, is they, at the door, at the window, on the traffic stop, they're trying to bait you into that
Get under
argument.
your skin a little bit. Yeah.
Yeah. And, if you take the bait or not is dependent on you. But one, I'm huge on, I think it goes back to officer safety. Like, I'll argue with you, but I'm not going to get into an all out, verbal scream match on the side of a highway or the road right there at your door. But funny enough is, sovereign citizens, a lot of them, the true ones, don't see city agencies as authority figures. They see the sheriff and the deputies that work for the sheriff as authority figures, because the sheriff is an elected official. So
Makes
the
sense.
chiefs of police in the world, like, they don't see them as authority. They don't see you for working for a municipality as an authority. So this one guy I happened to walk up on, immediately told him the reason for the stop. He's immediately arguing with me, telling me he doesn't need a license, or he doesn't need a plate. to be able to drive. Well, yeah, you do. It's a city street. Everyone knows this. Common sense. Um, asked for his ID. Of course, he doesn't have one. I'm not required to have an ID. Okay, bub. Immediately call for a second because you just never know what's like. Is this guy gonna hop out? Is this what's gonna happen? Um, but I don't think, like I said, I think he was trying to bait me the whole time. I don't think he was prepared for me to be just as overtly nice to him as I was. It's just one of those like I'm just gonna kill him with kindness, you know. Like
Nice.
I know I'm in good legal stance. Like the stop was legal. I have every legal reason I could pull you out of the car. I'm not going to. But the fun part about that is he refused to, he doesn't have an ID or refused to give one over. So legally, I have to ID him. And the funny part is this is that we have these fancy things in our cars called MDTs. Also have, like the Regis system or OpenFox, wherever uses that. Like I can run people. I can dump addresses. I can dump VIN numbers. Well, that's exactly what I did. I copied down his VIN number. I was like, hey, bro, just tell me. I know you don't want to talk, whatever. Just tell me, is this your car? Are you the owner? Well, yeah, I'm the owner. Cool. Sit tight for me. I'll be back. Went, ran the VIN number. Sure as shit, he was the registered owner. He didn't have a valid driver's license. So I go up with like 6 tickets in hand. And I don't know if this was his name, but it's great because he's thinking he's getting one over on me. And the look on their face when you go up and you're like, hey, Kevin, they like look over like, oh shit, how'd you know that? It's like, here, bro, here's your 6 tickets. But the funny part is, I remember him actually thanking me for being professional with him.
Do you have to slide the tickets in like you're putting money into a vending machine because he only cracked his window that much?
No, I have done that before. Well, it wasn't as pretty as sliding it in. Um, it was a full on fuck this stop moment. I'm tired of this person's attitude.
Right.
And after of like an hour, this was a traffic accident, a crash that had occurred, and this girl was 19, 20 years old and had watched way too many YouTube videos in her life on how to treat police. And what made it better is she was a DoorDasher or Uber Eats, so she had just picked up food for an order and they canceled mid ride.
Hell
So
yeah.
she was pissed off of that, which was great because she was giving me attitude the whole time, and she was blatantly like, I had it on camera, traffic stop camera, like she swerved in the other lane, hit the mail truck, and then was just an absolute bitch from the start to me. So I was like, you know what, you're getting written up for anything and everything that I can find in statute.
Right. How dare
And
you pull her over? How dare you?
yeah, I know. God forbid. God forbid people obey traffic laws and
Right.
not cause accidents.
Right.
But it was one where like at the end of it, I was just completely done with this stop. I was done. This was my like second to last day of mission. So I was like, you know what? I'm already mentally checked out here. So she like rolled the window halfway down and was already motherfucking me again. And instead of explaining the tickets to her, I just decided to wad them up in this fancy little ball and throw them in at her and said, make sure you go to court, and then walked away. That wouldn't fly. That would not fly at many agencies, probably the
Right.
one that we currently work for. At Mission, it is a smaller department, so we could get away with a little bit more.
So have you ever had a call that like now, and I think I've heard some of them before where, it's an absolute comedy shit show as you tell it now, but at the time it was just chaos the entire time.
Oh yeah, there are dozens of them. One in particular is when, like, a little bit about my career. Like I started my career in law enforcement with Shawnee, all Johnson County agencies, but I worked for 2 municipalities before I came to the sheriff's office, where I got to see and meet your pretty smiling face. But I started my career with Shawnee. I did about 4 years there, and then I had transferred over to Mission, significantly smaller, but I did about 2 years there. Um, and this absolute shit show of a call, and I got I got to give my buddy a shout out when he listens to this, because he specifically wanted me, or knew, or wanted to know if I was going to mention the best officer I ever worked with. Were, I'm pretty sure, his exact words. So
Is
I
this
told
one
him
that
I
I
would.
know?
Oh, yeah, yeah. Well, I told him I would tell this story because it doesn't shine a good light on him. Um, but talk about an absolute shit show in the moment was, you get called. You have districts. You're assigned to districts pretty much anywhere in patrol you go, or precincts, or whatever you call it. It's your zone that you respond to calls in. And districts, like, I'll have a district partner. Now, we didn't ride two man, so I had a neighboring district that was my partner. We would respond on calls together. And I ended up getting called outside of my district because another buddy of mine had just made an arrest in his district, which was, that night was, it was 6th district in Shawnee. I was 4. So my call sign, working evenings, I was 304 was my call sign. So 306 in 6th district was gone down south to the jail, and he was in the process of booking his arrestee in. So a hot call comes out in his district. I'm going to respond to it or get dispatched to it. So now that's my responsibility. And um, so me and my partner respond, and it came out as a DV, which domestic violence. And of course, it was a heavy set, 45-year-old J12, mental issues. He had that weird strength to him that some people have,
That little
that
Riri
comes out
strength?
of, yeah, the little strength that just comes out of nowhere, and it's unexpected in the
Right.
moment.
He's farmer strong.
This dude, when I tell you, this guy was definitely on a watch list. Like, I'll tell you after the story, he actually is on a watch list. But of course, he's 45, have some mental issues, some sovereign ideologies that he was spitting at us initially, and he lives with his parents. His
Classic.
and this, yeah, beautiful, nice neighborhood in Western Shawnee, Western 435. So your classic Johnson County esque area that you would think of. Goes down this little cul-de-sac, and they're like one of the houses on the end. So me and my partner park, strategically 2 houses down. That plays effect in this story and the response of others later. And we approach from the side of the house. We come up, knock on the door. Mom and dad, they're elderly. They come walking down the stairs, and apparently they've had major issues with their son before in the past. One of the main issues in my head was that the fact that, he's a 45 grown adult and he's still living at home with mom and dad. But this argument that he got in with his parents, which is a domestic relationship in the state of Kansas, is considered domestic relationship, was over basically the fact that he wanted the car keys of their car. They didn't want to give him the car keys. So that just spiked this whole dramatic event that took place in their household that led us to being called. Well, dad is elderly, weak, brittle, terminal cancer. Like, you look at the guy and you just feel terrible for him that he's got to go through this. At some point during this process, like, I'm talking to the parents. My partner is outside with our suspect, our guy at the time, in the driveway. It's nighttime. Um, the son, the adult son, had broken down the door into mom and dad's room because they barricaded themselves because they were afraid of him.
Jeez.
He broke in the door, pushed the dad down to the floor to get the mom. So now, it's a domestic relationship. You have criminal damage to property because of the door. You have battery, physical battery on dad for physically pushing him to the ground. And I have a witness, like, dad saying this. Mom was witness to the whole thing because she was there in the bedroom. So I have a witness that is, you know, connecting the dots for me and putting this whole story together. So for those of you that don't know, Kansas, and I know other states, specifically Missouri, works a little differently on domestic violence. Kansas is a shall arrest state. So, meaning if I'm investigating a DV, and I determined that there's probable cause for an arrest, whether that's many things, an eyewitness, um, telling the story, or an admittal, or the one that they do in the academy is they paint on a little bruise or scratch, and well, that would be probable cause. So in the state of Kansas, that means it's a mandated arrest. So I go out to my partner who's still outside with the guy. It's winter time. He's wearing a heavy coat. And I tell my partner what I have. I say, hey, we have enough. Okay, well, this is his call. He's acting primary on this call. So he's going to go talk to parents again. So now I'm standing outside with the guy. And he's spitting out things about the president of the United States, how he was planning to run next time. And I'm shaking my head like, cool, bro. Like this, I already know where this call is going. Like, I know you're going to jail. So, whatever. I'm just listening to a story. So my partner comes back out and he's like, yeah, we have enough. I was like, cool. So he tells the guy, we have the tactical L set up as they teach you in the driveway, and he's facing my partner. My partner tells him like, hey, based off this, and this, you are going to be placed under arrest for domestic battery, criminal damage to property. And immediately the guy goes, no, that's not happening. And I go, here we go. And so as soon as he said that's not happening, my partner tells him again, he's like, you are under arrest. Turn around, put your hands behind your back. Keep in mind, this is dead of winter. So the guy has a jacket on. My partner, when that guy takes one step towards him, my partner starts to reach for his taser. One, I was a DT, defensive tactics instructor for a few years. So that was kind of my job to teach the defensive, fighting tools on your belt. Well, one, I don't like using the tools in my belt. Me personally, I feel more comfortable going hands on. Two, I've seen the taser fail time and time
Too many
again.
times.
Yeah, and three, the guy's wearing a jacket, so the
Right.
probes aren't going to stick in
Not gonna
him.
work.
You're not going to get that full lockup like you want. So I immediately realized like that's not going to work. He's still stepping towards my partner, so I just say fuck it, we're going hands on. And I go and I grab him by one of his arms. Well, I make sure to grab skin right on his wrist. My partner happens in the mix to just grab his coat jacket, his arm sleeve. Well, when that guy lunges forward, his arm comes right out of that jacket, and now, lo and behold, who is his fist going to connect with? It's going to be my face, and I get clocked right in the face. And in that moment, I see red. I mean, everything. I'm like, this is a fight. This is a fight, and yeah, part of it, I'm a little excited. And so as soon as I get hit in the face, where am I comfortable at is on the ground. Like I'll fight you all day, every day on the ground. I'm not a boxer by any means. I'm not an MMA fighter, but I grew up wrestling. So that the ground is where I'm comfortable at. So we go to the ground. We're in the middle of the front yard and it's a full on fight at this point. And keep in mind, like at the time the radios that my agency used, that agency was the older version of the Motorola radios. Like we have the new nice ones, not the ones that the federal government have. That's pretty much like an iPhone on your radio.
Right.
But our service works pretty great on ours, and you can probably attest to that. Well, these were old pieces of shit that when you keyed up on your hand mic, it had like a lag time before it actually click in. So you'd get like a dull little tone on your end, and then it would click in, and then you could talk. Well, during this little skirmish on the ground, the guy had knocked my earpiece out, so I couldn't hear that it never clicked in. So as soon as we go to the ground, I key up 304, we're fighting. Nothing, because it never clicked in. So we're still fighting, trying to get this heavy set dude in handcuffs, which isn't going to work because there's two of us. And, we're doing knee strikes, we're hitting because it's an all out fight. That can escalate my use of force. And luckily, my partner hears that it doesn't key in when I say that. So during this, he just clicks on his radio, and to get over that lag time, he just keeps repeating, fighting, 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 fighting. So when that finally keys in and dispatch can hear like fighting, 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 they're like, shit. Well, at this point, like I'm putting my earpiece back in while fighting this guy with one arm, and I hear the officer assist tones, which anyone who hasn't heard it, it's like a Warble multi-pitch tone that like will stop you dead in your tracks if you're elsewhere on patrol and you hear that.
Right.
It's a very surreal tone to hear if you never have. Never in my wildest dreams did I think that it would be dropped on me, but here we are, and and so they drop tones on us, which anyone outside of law enforcement knows. Like as soon as tones drop, like everyone's coming. You got the cavalry, you got your whole department, anyone who's in, sometimes command staff because they get bored and what are detectives doing during the day? Drinking coffee and eating donuts. So they'll if it's during daytime they'll show up too. Um, but I mean you got everyone in the world coming to help you. And I will say that it being nighttime during this particular call, you don't have the normal noise of the street traffic that's blocking it. So we're on the ground. I get this guy's one arm behind him, and he's still fighting my partner. So I'm wrenching the shit out of his shoulder. I was like, look, dude, I'm going to break it if you keep fighting. And honestly, that's what I was trying to do. I was going to break his arm. And he's not letting my partner can't get his other arm. And at this time, you just heard all around us. I mean, 360 degrees, nothing but sirens,
Hell yeah.
which is the most surreal, coolest sound you will ever hear in the world, knowing like those are the boys coming. They're coming to help.
Those are my friends. They want to come fight too.
Yeah, those are my friends. And so I remember looking at my partner and was like, hey, do you hear that? And he said, yes. I go, take a breath. All that's coming for us. If you can't get his arm, hold it to the ground. So, like I said earlier, this whole call goes to shit right about this point. Because, like I said earlier, coming on a domestic violence or an active disturbance of any kind, they teach you like strategic parking. You want to park a couple doors down because if I'm going to start taking rounds, I don't want to park right in front of the house. And, there's several videos, several officers in the nation who have been shot at by responding, and they pull up right in front of the house, and all of a sudden, bullets start flying. Well, I don't want to be caught in my car. That's why they teach you to park a few doors down. Well, at this point, we're fucking fighting in the front yard. Like all strategic, anything is out the window. Like if I'm asking for help, just come fucking help. Pull up in the front yard. I don't care. Well, the first responding officer happened to be finishing up another domestic violence call in his district who was close by. Suspect was already taken, so he's filling out all the paperwork with the victim. And I remember him saying, like, yeah, I heard those tones drop, and I just threw the stack of papers at her, was running out of her house going, I'll be back. And he just ran. So he's the first one on scene to help us. And I parked 2 houses down. He parks 3 houses down because he decided to park behind our vehicles. So he comes running, and I just remember flashing my flashlight, hey, we're here. He comes like baseball sliding in. He goes, what do you need? I go, fucking handcuff him. So he pulls out his handcuffs, and instead of going to his arm, he goes to the first wrist that he sees, which is me. So he handcuffs my wrist. I was like, nope, wrong one. That's
Wrong
me.
one. Try again.
And then, of course, third and fourth on scene is lo and behold my buddy who I told him I would tell the story because it's great. Well, it being Johnson County, something's coming out and it's like live PD for them. So everyone and their moms are outside on the front porch watching us fight.
Right. Of course.
Not one of them is helping.
No. No.
Yeah, but they're taking videos, they're watching us. So everyone in this street is out on their porch, which can be a little confusing for officers responding. Even though we're in the front yard, I would figure that is a dead giveaway. But my buddy responds and he goes to the wrong house. And we're still in the midst of fighting this guy, and all you hear is him start yelling like, where are you guys? I will never get that voice out of my head because looking back on it, it was hysterical. But in the moment, I was like, "Are you fucking kidding me? You went to the
Like
wrong
we're in the
house."
dog pile in the front yard. Can you not see
Yeah,
us?
like go
Can you not
towards the
hear
pig.
us?
Yeah, go towards the pig pile, buddy. But we get the guy in handcuffs. No one was injured, so you can't complain. You got an adrenaline dump. You got to fight someone. It's a good day.
And you got
Got to
handcuffed. I
take
know
a
you
bad
enjoy
guy to
that.
jail. Yeah, I got handcuffed. It was an experience I'll never forget.
Yeah, you're like jokes on you. I like that.
Yeah, it wasn't the pink fuzzy ones, which I prefer. It was,
Right.
the stainless steel ones that we carry around.
But in the moment, I mean, you get what you get. So
Exactly. I got a little turned on.
I
So
figured you did. Figured you did.
yeah. But it was, the guy, it was one of those moments afterwards. Everyone's camera's rolling, but you want nothing more to like. I looked at my partner, who him and I initiated that call together. And you've seen Jake Gyllenhaal's End to Watch, right? The opening scene when they get in that shooting and they just dust those guys and they look at each other and like high five. Like it's one of those like fuck yeah, bro, like one of those moments. And I remember him and I locked eyes and we wanted nothing more to just to high five each other and been like, hell yeah, we just did that.
Want to give the
But
helicopter the code 4?
yeah, we don't have one of those,
Of
but
course.
yeah,
But it'd be
budgeting.
cool. I
It'd
mean,
be awesome. But you got to act professional in the moment, whatever that is.
I I I I love that story. And I know you've got another partner story in there somewhere. Um, give me a good partner story because I know you've had several over the years. And you've had several good partner stories. You got another one of those locked in?
I do. I do. I have this one
Nerd,
was in nerd.
nerd.
I do have a story about him that I'll tell later.
Yes, I want that one.
It's not completely my story, but I was involved in that call, which was an absolute. You want to talk about another shit show? That was an absolute shit show.
Yes.
Um, but no, this particular story. This is when I worked at Mission, and we did like 4-month rotations. Like you bid for a shift, and this happened to me over the summer. I love on patrol. There is nothing more fun than working evening shift because you get like we worked like 3 to 1, 10-hour shifts, whatever it was, and you get like the best of both worlds in that because you come on in the evening time when it's sunny and beautiful and hot out, which makes people want to act nuts, and you get the tail end of day shift when everything starts to pick up. And then you also get the night shift crew and the night crawlers that come out at night, which are their own
Weirdos.
characters. Yeah, there's something else, and you get that being a firefighter.
Oh yeah.
When you guys were sleeping, we'd wake you up at 3 in the morning, but
Well, yeah, you enjoyed
whatever.
it. Yeah, you enjoyed it.
Yeah, you guys come in with bed head and everything like that.
Well, I didn't. I mean,
Well,
obvious
you
for
didn't,
obvious
yeah, but
reasons. Yeah.
you're just follically challenged. It's okay.
Yes, it's okay.
But this one was like the best evening shift ever. You couldn't, me and my partner working, still great friends to this day. We just meshed like on patrol. Him and I just fit perfectly together. Like it got to the point, and you talk about nonverbal communication. We could be on a call and just lock eyes with each other and immediately know what the other person's thinking about. We went on every call together, even if it was a one officer call. Like we would show up.
2-man job.
And yeah, we just loved working together, and to the point where a lieutenant was like, "Why are you guys Are you guys not comfortable handling calls?" We're like, "No, we just love working together."
More fun,
Uh,
fun with a
yeah,
friend. It's always more
he's
fun with a friend.
yeah, he's my friend. What are you talking about? But this one just happened to be like it was a wild summer, and this night in particular just happened to be super dead. Uh, that happens where sometimes you'll go call to call to call. Other nights you won't hear a single radio tone or call come out for hours. And we had probably gone every bit of 4 or 5 hours without a single call. Just one of those dead nights. And midnights had come in, and it was great because at that time, the shift we worked, we had about like 3, 4-ish hours maybe of overlap. So it was great if you were down reports, even, midnights would come in, and evening shift, you could go work on your reports, midnight to start shagging calls that come out. Well, midnight to come on, we're all at the station in the patrol room, bullshitting, drinking coffee. Um, and my partner gets a text from a apartment complex manager, one of these shit hole apartment you want to talk about ghetto, like it's one of those where like they're all the whole buildings are in a square, and once the cops show up, like they all it must be like they send a mass text out, like everyone knows you're there. And they do a very good job on like policing themselves because they hate cops. But when we get called there, like it's a good call. Well, the manager had texted him, and was like, "Hey, someone who I know is previously trespassed from this property, who has caused a whole bunch of issues before in the past, is here. Like, I have him on camera right now. He's on the property. Do you want to come get him?" My buddy looks at me and he shows me the text. He goes, "You want to go after him?" And we had been dead all shift. I'm bored shitless. I was like, "Fuck yeah, let's go do cop work. Let's go after him." He goes, "Cool." Now, we did something majorly wrong is we never put ourselves out on a single call.
I mean, what's
Like,
the big deal with that? I mean, that's not an
yeah,
issue.
there's no downside to that
None
whatsoever.
whatsoever.
It not, forget the fact that no one knows where you are. Dispatch is sitting in a massive building right now. No calls generated. They don't know where you are. Half the time your MDTs, like the GPS doesn't, it'll fail, it'll go down. So, what could go wrong? And so we drive out to the area, and I pass first, going past the apartment complex on Lamar, which is the main road right off to the side of it. And as soon as I pass, I see homeboy walk across Lamar from the property. So now we had physical eyes on him that he was on the property. My partner's behind me. I see him pass, so I'm like, shit, I'm gonna have to flip a bitch. So I go to make a U-turn. My partner turns on his lights and jumps out of his car and goes to contact him. Again, no radio traffic, 4 hours. We had never put ourselves out on a call. So the next thing that dispatch hears after hours of silence is my partner key up going, "Foot pursuit, heading this direction." Everyone, including our supervisors and Midnights who is at the station, they all pause because they're like, "What the fuck is going on?" Well, lo and behold, me and my partner are in the middle of an intense foot pursuit. So he's running. I flip around in my car. I go screaming through the parking lot, lights and sirens. And as I'm approaching them in my vehicle, they come, like, they both go running around this 6 foot wooden fence line, privacy fence, which is like right on the edge of the complex parking lot. And then on the other end of that is like someone's yard to a house. Their yard's not fenced, so it's all open, and then a thick wood line. And all I see is my partner go around this fence with his gun out. And I come screaming right through there. I hit a patch of leaves as I go to brake, and that just slides my car forward. So 100% I'm thinking, like, I'm going through this fence. It stops. I mean, my front bumper is inches away from that fence. And I just, like, it's just instinct. You just hop out. I go guns out. I get my gun out. I go around that corner. Talk about, like, the dude had gone into the thick brush. It's nighttime, so you can't see past those trees. And I mean, when I say it's thick, it is thicker than the biggest girl you could think of. And, and my partner's waiting, like, right on the edge of that wood line. Talk about having the utmost faith in each other. Like, we know how each other's works. At this point, we probably, hindsight 2020 being what it is, we probably should have. We know he's in that one line. Now everyone's coming because dispatch is holding the air for us. We're in a foot pursuit. Everyone's figured out where we are at this point. Like, we should have waited, surround, call out, got a perimeter set up. We have outside agencies coming to help. But I just remember going right up by, like, right on my buddy's left side. I tap him on the shoulder. We both have our guns out. And I was like, "Hey, I'm on you. Let's go." And he just is like a say less moment. And we're both heading in. And we go trekking through I mean, branches are hitting you in the face. 9 times out of 10, the perimeters I've been on is like, by the time you get the perimeter set up,
Dude's
that
gone.
guy's already gone. Yeah.
Right.
So you do hours of cop work for nothing. You may get a dog out there to, get on a scent or try and track him. And again, 9 times out of 10, that guy's going to be gone. Well, we were right on this dude's heels. So we're trekking through this brush line, and there's like it's pitch black. I'm thinking like there's no way we find them. I'm starting to give up hope, and all of a sudden I hear my buddy who's maybe 50 yards in front of me or off to my right call out, "I got him." And so I go running through the bushes and trees to get to him. Well, there's like this dugout ravine in the middle of these woods. They got, dead trees hanging over the top of it. Well, he's down in the midst of it. And he is not listening to a single thing my partner is. He's giving commands. My partner goes, "Hey, I'm going to go less lethal." So he holsters up, he pulls out his taser. He's got a less lethal option. Well, everyone know, you have a less lethal and then you have lethal. So I keep my gun out. This guy, at this point, like we have other officers who are trekking through the woods to get to us. Now we probably like we're giving commands. He's not listening. We probably at least have three other officers with us. So I feel comfortable. And the big part of me, being a man, you're like, fuck it, let's go get him. I just want to touch this guy. And but
Gay.
this gay.
Gay.
This is one moment where I thought I was going to shoot someone. And there was a couple more, but this one in particular, like I said, he's not listening to anything my part. He's in I still remember he's in a red baggy t-shirt, jeans, white guy, scruffy beard, and he keeps reaching in his pockets and he's pulling out just, a pack of cigarettes, a lighter, and he's just throwing it. Well, he's spouting off, he's motherfucking us, he's spouting off everything. Well, all I see is him reaching in his pockets. So I had finger on the trigger, I'm pulling the slack out, and in my mind, I'm like, you pull out anything that remotely resembles a gun, and you're getting 17. And at the, it happens. You get severe tunnel vision. Um, I'm not like you. I was never in the military. I was never in war. So you can probably speak widely or many different ways for this. But in my aspect, I'd never done that before. So I've already my OODA loop is going crazy, and my fingers on the trigger. I'm 100% like I'm probably going to shoot this guy. So I've already determined like, am I justified? Yes. Is it going to be a good shoot? Yes. Can I live with it? Yes. So, check, check, and check. We're good to go. Well, I have tunnel vision. You want to break that tunnel vision the best you can. And God rest his soul, my buddy from Fairway, who a year after that call actually was shot and killed in a shooting. But he did a phenomenal job, intentionally or unintentionally, of breaking my tunnel vision that call. Because as I'm hyper focused on this dude, Jonah is shimmying and Spider-Maning his way across this dead tree that's hanging over top of him. I see that and I'm like, what the fuck are you doing? Are you gonna spider monkey down on his back? Like, what was your plan here? And it all worked out because we deemed it safe enough. This guy finally kept his hands up long enough that my partner and another officer can go down there and grab him. They got him in handcuffs, and for whatever reason, I drew the short straw, and now I have to escort this guy in handcuffs out of this thick ass ravine. I mean, rainforest type environment. And he's in front of me. So whatever branches, he's folding up is coming back and slapping me in the face. I'm already pit like I've lost my voice from yelling at this dude. It's midsummer, so underneath that, sterling, beautiful blue uniform was absolutely nothing but sweat and bugs. And so, my tensions are a little high. I'm pissed. And now branches are just slapping me in the face. And it didn't help that this dude, I shit you not, looks over at me and goes, "Oh, are you okay, sweetie?" And oh my God, if I could have punched him in the face right then and gotten away with it, I would have. It, some higher powers looking after me. It was like, no, you're gonna lose your job.
No, no,
We
no.
escort this dude out of the tree line, and of course, we're trying to get him in the car. He keeps sticking his foot out, which just pissed me off more. My sergeant can see that I'm getting super worked up. He comes and taps me out. He's like, "Hey, take a break." I was like, "Yeah, you're right. That's a good idea." But we get the dude in cuffs. It all worked out, but that was definitely like I got a talking to that day back at the office. Was like, "Hey, it's not going to be paperwork, but you're going to get an ear lashing." So,
Congratulations on the arrest, but
yeah, hey, you did great cop work. Sign this form right here.
maybe next time put yourself en route.
It is what it is. If I figured out early in my career that if you're out there doing cop work, like real cop work, taking bad people to jail type work, you're gonna get talking tos. You're gonna get an earful, and you might even get some paperwork in your file. Lord knows I have some in my file, but it is what it is. You take your lickings, admit where you're wrong, and you move on.
Right.
But
Let's
that was a blast, man.
let's get into that other story you wanted to tell.
You're gonna have to have him on here at some point
I will.
because
Oh yeah.
I know he's got a plethora of stories that he can tell. But he became widely known on shift as a shit magnet.
He
And
is
there are those
absolutely that.
officers. Yeah,
He's absolutely that.
100%.
Yeah.
Anyone that knows him can attest to that. Great guy, great cop. Has a plethora of experience, also just life experience and everything he's done, which, a guy like me could only dream of having the amount of experience that guy's been through. But just, the type of guy that everyone gets along with. And came in like fairly new to cop work, but picked it up off the like drop of a hat. And quickly became known as a shit magnet on shift. Every time he was on, like something was going to happen. And it just so happened that his partner, I can say they got married now. They don't work for the same agencies anymore, so it's okay.
It's okay.
But and they were not together at that point. But those two together were and she was a shit magnet on her own too. So you put those two on the same shift, like things are gonna happen. And this particular night, again, I was working evening shift, so we had the overlap. I was like, 5 or 6 reports down. So as soon as midnights came in, those two, I went back to the station. I was going to knock out my reports. My sergeant was in the station. It was just me and my sergeant. Some mental disturbance comes out, and they respond to it. Quickly after they respond, things had escalated. The guy had barricaded himself in his bathroom, was scaring the shit out of his roommate. I don't know what the relationship was there. I don't know what information they had on scene because I wasn't there. But I remember hearing her key up and say, "Hey, he's barricaded in the bathroom," something along those lines, like we're going to need more units. Sergeant gets on and was like, "Hey, you guys are on scene. Whatever you're hearing or seeing or information you have, like if you need to make entry into the bathroom, make entry." So you got the blessing from the supervisor. Well, our boy who's our boy. If you know him, he's like, "Fucking say less. Let's do it."
Nerd.
Well, this guy was like a 6'7", like 230 pounds of just a pure naked man. And anyone who knows that if you respond to a call and they're involving a naked suspect, there's a 99% chance that you are going to fight them.
Oh, absolutely.
I don't know why that is, but that's just how things are. Even in the jail, work in detention, like if someone's naked, you're probably going to fight them at some point.
Yes.
And this guy was breaking glass in the bathroom. They didn't know what he was doing, but they decided to make entry. She keys up on the radio again, is like, "Hey, we're going to make entry. Send us more units." I get out of my chair and I'm going to respond. My sergeant stops me, meets me like going out the door, and he's like, "No, don't worry about it. I'll go. You go work on your reports." I was like, "All right, whatever. I'm down enough that I can miss the action this one time." So I go, and my ass hadn't hit the seat for a hot second. They key up. They had made entry. They key up again, and she goes, "We need more units now." And you can hear clearly in the background that it is an all-out brawl. that is happening. So I go running out of the department. I hop in my car as my sergeant is lights and sirens out of the parking lot. I go Tokyo drifting out of that parking lot too. And with my lights on, I pass my sergeant. I didn't get a talking to for that. I just didn't think that he was going fast enough in that moment, or I just wanted to go faster. Um, but we go screaming there, and there's another officer who I was working my evening shift with, not my same partner, another one, who I had caught up with him going down Fox Ridge, going to the complex, and we're probably going every bit of 85, 90, because you can just hear the fight. I mean, it got to the point where she keeps keying up saying, we need more unit, like send us more units. Because in the moment, you don't know people are coming. You're not listening to your radio traffic. You're so hyper focused on, oh shit, this guy's fighting us. Um, and the officer who was responding in the car in front of me, I remember him getting on the radio and was like, dispatch, drop tones on them. Like,
Right.
get everyone here now.
Right.
So finally, they warbled him, which is the officer assist tones. And we go in. It was beautiful because every department does some version of like their Citizens Academy. And a part of that Citizens Academy is they get to do ride alongs with patrol. Well, she happened to have a Citizens Academy rider with her that night.
Jeez.
So he's just sitting in the car listening to the in-car radio traffic, not knowing anything about cop work or what's going on. And now all of a sudden you have every cop in the Johnson County or metro area responding. So I can only imagine how confused he was. But we go screaming in there. I hop out, and my buddy got there a little bit before me. He was third on, or yeah, he was third on scene. I was fourth. By the time I came into the room, it's this crammed little apartment room with its own bathroom, closet, and then a queen size bed and like a desk. And then, I mean, it was hood rat shit. So you got a bunch of inanimate objects that are just all over the room. He's naked and it's a pig pile. They're on the very end of the bed between the bed and the desk. Not much room when you add three officers in full gear and then a 6'7", 230-pound naked guy. And I just go and I jump on top. So I was like, we're fighting. I want to play. So I go and grab a limb, and there's blood everywhere. I mean, profusely. And I didn't know whose blood it was. I didn't know if it was his. I didn't know if it was theirs. I asked at one moment, I was like, whose blood is this? And she looks up at me, I'll never forget. And I swear to God, it looked like she had just had a whole 12-pack of beer, like she was hammered. Like the look on her eyes. And she goes, I think I hit my head. And I look, and the side of her hair is drenched in blood. And she has blood all down the front of her uniform. And I just remember grabbing her by her vest. And I was like, holy shit. I look back. And at this point, the cavalry's here. I look back to the nearest officer who responds, and I was like, I grab her vest and I go, get her the fuck out of here. She's injured. Get her out. Well, our buddy, our mutual friend, was also injured, but his mindset is like, I'm not leaving. But dude, like we get them out. They're both injured. The storyline was, they made entry into the bathroom, and as soon as they booted that door in, here's this big dude with two shards of glass holding them in his hand right at him. Um, I'm not going to Monday morning quarterback it. In my mind, that would have been a justified shooting. But I wasn't there. I wasn't the initial officers who initiated that call, so I'm not going to say yay or nay to that at all. I trust those guys. I trust their decision making. But also our mutual friend, being the guy he is, he decided he's also a big man, so he's like, I'm just going to body this dude. And in the midst of grabbing a hold of him, he takes a shard of glass right above the eye, which gives like that boxer cut.
Oh, yeah.
It's a badass cut that you get a few stitches in it, but it bleeds profusely.
Oh, yeah. Never stops.
So, oh yeah, so that was a part of the blood, the mystery of the blood right there. He ended up getting 4 or 5 stitches in his eye, above his eye, And in the midst, when he bodied him, he spun the dude around. The dude had like basically Spartan kicked her in the chest, sending her across the room, and she hit the back of her head on the corner of a desk. And she got about 13 staples in the back of her head. Like
Damn.
it was a gnarly call. Um, but I don't know if you've ever seen anyone, or I'm sure you have fought someone, especially in detention setting and working at nine side or max. You get guys in a manic state, and there's just it's like they're on PCP, like
Oh
they
yeah.
don't feel pain.
No, none at all.
And so once we got them out of the scene, I mean, it was just a clusterfuck of a scene. We're still fight. This dude is wholesome fighting, and on that he keeps yelling John 3:16 Bible verse. That's all he yelled. John 3:16. John 3:16. I can still hear his voice because he said it so many times. But I mean, we on the debrief overall with our lieutenant, like that dude was tased 13 times
Holy shit.
with, and that includes like drive stuns, probes, no effect, which again just backs up my argument that I don't trust the taser.
Right.
I personally don't like it. In fact, I stopped carrying the taser on my belt that day. I was like, nope, this thing's fucking worthless. I'm not using it. I've seen it work. I've seen it fail plenty of times. That happened to be one of them. So I mean, this dude is strong, and we are fighting him, trying to get him into the wrap. We're trying to get him secured just so we can transport him, let alone check for injuries. Like, there's still blood all over the place. At this point, I don't even know if I'm bleeding. I was like, we've been fighting this guy forever. Cops are responding. The whole apartment hallway is just full of cops and gear. So, like, we're not getting out that way. We're like, what is going on? This dude's kicking and screaming, just fully tense. And I remember at one, like, I'm up by his arm, his head. Um, my buddy who now works for KHP is on the other side of him. We're trying to restrain his arms, and he's fighting and screaming, and then he just stops, and he just goes limp. And if you know anything about, like, sometimes in a mental or manic state, somebody can get themselves so worked up that their heart will stop. And instantly, I remember the look that me and my buddy gave each other. We just look at each other and we're like, oh, fuck, did he just die? I've never been so glad when someone started fighting again. So it's like, oh, thank God he's alive. All right, now we can go back into it. But of course, here we get, we have two officers that are injured. He's going to go to the hospital because he's been tased so many times. Like, this guy's, and he's manic. We don't know if he's on drugs. He's going to have to be cleared medically. Like, the jail's not going to take him. So we have, multiple cops outside with their vehicles. Now we have three ambulances outside. And I remember walking out. We finally got this dude on a gurney. We strapped him in. He's in the wrap. He's got a taser probe right in his chest that, like, you can't pull out. I don't know why. You just couldn't get that damn thing out. I think they had to actually surgically remove it, if I remember right. And we take this dude to the hospital. My sergeant looks at me and was like, Hereford, you're going to the hospital with him. I was like, the fuck I am. And he goes, nope, you're riding with them. We'll have another officer in the back of the ambulance. I was like, perfect. And this officer happens to be one who worked on Nine Side, works with us now. Bald guy, looks a lot like you, goofy son of a bitch, but
Yeah.
love him. And he's in the back of the ambulance. And, my uniform's all in tatters. Like, we were just fighting this guy. He's still fighting on the gurney. And I remember seeing my buddy in the back of the ambulance, and he's just smiling at me. I was like, fuck you, dude. You weren't just dealing with this guy. You're coming in here with a fresh set of eyes. And dude, I've never fought somebody that long and that consistent before. I mean, we got him in the ambulance. He fought the entire way to the hospital. We went to KU Med, and he fought for an hour, every bit of an hour and a half in
Good
the
Lord.
hospital. I remember, like, we had KU Med PD that was in the room with us, and we're still fighting this dude. He's restrained, but he keeps trying to break free of the restraints, get off the gurney in the ER room, and we're holding this dude down. And I still remember one of the nurses coming by and the look of shock or terror on her face. when she saw us still holding him down. And I was like, what? And I remember her saying, he should be out cold. We gave him anesthesia, surgery grade anesthesia, like half an hour prior to that. And I just looked at her. I was like, well, fucking shoot him up again because it's not
Double the
working.
dose. Up the dose. Go get some ketamine.
Yeah. Oh my God. Give him something. But oh, that dude was just manic. And that was another clusterfuck of a call. But a blast in the middle. That's why you get into cop work. You want to, yeah, of course we want to help people, but you love that adrenaline dump. You love doing cop shit.
Right. How do you think the job's changed you?
Oh, the job has changed me in so many ways. I was, in the old college days, you're still finding yourself. Your priorities aren't all there. But I was a lot more easygoing, or this question would be better directed towards my wife because she's seen both sides of me. We met each other in college, so she remembers that me, and then the 8 years of doing this job, it's changed me so many ways. One, I'm way more vigilant of my mental health, I guess you could say. I don't know, just overall numb to many things. I think an overall numbness. Like, yeah, you're hyper focused. I don't like being in crowds. I hate it.
Right. I agree.
I'm constantly looking over. Like, I love people watching, but
I get
you
worn
know,
out when I go out in public because I'm so
yeah,
hyper
just like
vigilant.
physically exhausted.
Yeah, you get home and you're like, "Ah, I feel like I ran a marathon. You can't figure out why, but you're so hyper vigilant that it it takes a toll on you.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. But I think the overall thing that I've really noticed is just like a numbness. Like, it's not that I don't get happy anymore, but it's like I don't get overtly excited about events that are happening in my life or coming into my life.
Right.
It's kind of like yeah, I know I'm happy, but fuck it, it's gonna happen. Like,
Yeah, it's a weird emotional numbness that you get.
yeah,
That
it's really hard to put it into words, but
yeah,
you're still human, but it's just like I don't know, you don't take tragedy the same way. Like, I don't, I've had family members that have passed, either from sickness or old age, natural causes, and like, yeah, you get sad, but you you just look at, I don't know, death or tragedy in a completely different light.
right. It's almost a weird compartmentalization of
Yeah, that's a
emotions
really good
and
way to put it. Is you compartmentalize almost everything
right.
to an unhealthy extent.
Oh, for sure. For sure. That's one reason I think there's a goodness to this show is it's almost an outlet. It's an outlet for you guys, it's an outlet for me. It's a way to bring some of those stories out because talking about it always helps anyways. And
Hmm.
then talking about it with people
Definitely.
who know, people who've been there, people who've done that, um, really does help in the long run,
Oh, it
I think.
definitely does, and that's what you want to talk about. Your like social life and your social circles of your friends. Like, you and I went to the same college. Fun fact, we were part of the same Greek life, same fraternity.
Yes, we were.
You keep those friends that you met back then. And I still have a handful of those guys that I still talk to this day. We're still great friends. I'd do anything for them. I love them. But it's a different kind of relationship than the guys I find myself around and hanging out with more now are people that I've worked with, people that I've experienced things with, because we can sit down and talk about a call and I don't have to break down like what everything means, if that makes sense. It's kind of like, and you'll get this being military probably more than I will, but it's almost like trauma bonding.
Well, for sure.
Like, you guys go through so much together every single day that you just seem like, it's those type of people that you keep close with or become closer with.
I agree. Buddy, appreciate you hanging out. It's been fun. I
Of
love
course,
the
man.
stories. I always love the stories.
Stories are good. Everyone's got good stories, but I've been very fortunate in my career so far. I've got a lot of good experiences, a lot of good trainings, been a part of a lot of teams, so I can't complain.
There you go.
I still wake up every day and do it. So,
Right. All right, dude. Well, it's the last question I got for you. Really appreciate you hanging out tonight. It's been a lot of fun.
of course, man. Thanks for having
Nerd.
me. Nerd.